if you don't come on, because you cutting into time now.
We're live. And
What's up?
Kai
What's
just said
up?
that we're cutting into time. I'm Brother D. We have an exclusive one for you guys coming tonight. We just want to come on and just talk a little bit about what's going on in the NBA. We're talking about when morality and sports collide. Seems like that our nation and our people, would know better, and how we should interact with one another when it comes to these things, interact with respect, dignity, and just treating people like common human beings. But nevertheless, I got my great friend with me right here. She is the one and only.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
You know what? You're gonna stop. You're gonna stop tonight. But anyway, yeah. So, um, um, just happy to to be here to be talking about this, Kai, because it's we heard Jaden Daniels. We know basically I'm sorry, Jaden Ivey. He's running into some trouble in the NBA right now. He's out right now he's on injury, but he got waived by the Chicago Bulls recently, and he was waived due to some things he has said about not supporting about the NBA supporting the LGBTQIA community. And as a result, they end up getting rid of him, or I should say waiving him. So I want to know, like, what was your thoughts when you first heard this information?
Honestly speaking, for me, because you guys were here, we kind of covered this stuff last night, y'all. So I'm not gonna be too loquacious with it. I will say that when I first heard this, I posted it also on my channel. I just found it interesting. To me, it just really seems like he's going through something.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he's going through. It seems like he's being called, to a higher power, so to speak. And if that's what's happening within him, there's a spiritual awakening, so to speak, or spiritual enlightening. Then that's what it is, And I'm okay as long as he's happy with it. I just hope that you know whatever is going on with him, he's okay. Like he's fully aware. I know some people are labeling it as a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a mental breakdown. But if that is what he's going through. I pray that those closest to him, like mom and family, will step in, and help him out.
Yeah. The big thing is that, without turning this into a sermon, right? when I see him and he's basically some of the things that he's going through, like you had made some things privy to me a little earlier, Kai, about basically some of his background, how he was molested as a child, unfortunately, and how some things that unfortunately happened to him, through whatever channels that happened in his family, and how some of that showed up in his life. Different forms of aggression comes out. When we're violated, a lot of times when we are older, the adverse effect is the fact that it has it shows up in our behaviors, how we treat people, how we roll with other folks, and how we may even treat our own siblings and our own kids. But the thing I wanted to say about him in regards to this was, a lot of people are jumping on him saying, he's a Christian, and Christians, sometimes um, should be more forgiving, should be, should be more empathetic, and function with the with those communities. So I feel that when a lot of times when we first come into the faith, a lot of times we have our zeal is there, and I'm not sure how long he's been in there, been in the faith, but when your zeal is there, a lot of times you can not. I'm not gonna say he misspoke, but what I can say is that we sometimes speak without hearing, or being unctioned by God, or we feel like God is really telling us what to say or when to say it.
Mhm.
When we see a community of people, like, because if we're being fair, in Christianity, the world is is messed up. Not just is everyone is messed up, not just one particular group. And however, and we all need Christ. But when we come to Christ, we have to have compassion and we have to have mercy. But it doesn't mean that Christ won't address people. But it does mean that we would have some his love or his tact in place. And so we see what the NBA did to him by putting him, by waiving him. And the question I would pose back to you, because you just said, basically, if he is on a mission, if he is on this particular mission, like, what do you see? How do you pose that, or how do you see him like maneuvering going forward, or what do you think that he could have done differently in order to uphold his faith, as well as you know uphold his faith and just to be functional in the NBA? Like how could you how can you see like both
There's
things
a
coming
way for
across?
him to do both,
Uh-huh.
honestly speaking, because typically when you play a sport, most people who are very, very outspoken about their beliefs in Jesus, in Christ, it typically does not work out. What's
Mhm.
up, Prince? It typically never works out. There's usually people tend to be pushed out the door.
Mhm.
We've seen this happen with other people as well in the past who are very open about their faith and about their beliefs and things of that nature. Now, um, I think he could have just spoken out about his spiritual growth and about
Mhm.
how he feels, like and kept it specific to him, as opposed to including other parties and other people, from other walks of life, and their beliefs. But at the same time, if he feels, that way about that community, then that's his right to speak on it. We say freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
We have a president who's very vocal as well about that community as well, and
Yeah.
he's still a president. I mean, let's not forget that map was covered in red. Okay, it was not covered in blue.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people, who feel the way that Jaden Ivey does. They don't have the same platform to speak on it now, but they do agree with him in terms of that aspect of it. I'm not going to say everything. Bringing up people like Steph. Steph is loved across the world.
Mhm.
I don't think he has the right to speak about Steph's relationship with Christ,
Yeah.
whether or not he's a true Christian and things of that nature, because to my knowledge, you and Steph are not BFFs, like you don't
Mhm.
know what Steph does, you don't know his relationship with God, you don't know, how he grew up, to a certain extent. I mean, you don't know those things. So speak on speak on yourself, you know, and about your situation and your beliefs, but I don't think if we're here talking about following Christ and things of that nature, judging people,
Mhm.
and no, if you're sitting on the throne and you judge people, and you also are being judged, which is why you were let go from the NBA, and you were waived, so to speak.
Mhm.
When he was with the Pistons, he was not this vocal. It
Yeah.
seems like after he got hurt, he came back from an injury, and then once he got waived, he seemed to be. I don't know if that's what triggered it. Spending that time home, rehabbing, and not be able to contribute the way he once was, be the player he once was. That was what triggered this
Mhm.
whatever's going on within him. But you have to be mindful of what you say. It's not what you say, but how you say it. I always say that. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's true. The thing about the thing about Christianity, and just bringing it in a little bit. The thing about Christianity is this: is that yes, we're called to preach Christ. Yes, we're called to confront uh, the uh, the world and share Christ. But the message of Christ is about His death, His burial, and His resurrection.
Mhm.
That's the good news of the kingdom. Um, when we start to talk about when we start to debate morality, um, it's I understand where a lot of us coming from. Like, I understand where we can be sent to somebody and say, hey, just to let people know, as a Christian, we can be literally sent to someone and God can say this to this person. I mean, I know I'm getting probably a little deep for some people, and you can share it with them, but that doesn't mean I would share it with the world. A lot of times I don't have to like broadcast it. Sometimes I can just
Mhm.
speak in general about things that I may feel about. This is my opinion,
Mhm.
and or this is what I feel like the Bible is saying. I can do that.
Mhm.
Or, then there are decrees where God say, hey, like I said before, go say this to this or that person. So
Mhm.
there are different levels and different things to this. The thing, to I should say different levels or different ways God can convey His message to people sometimes. So
Mhm.
salvation is salvation. You know what I mean? So he's a Christian, and he. But the thing is, when you pull Steph in and you say, Steph is not living this way, this one's not living that way, that's when things get a little tarnished, because now it looks like you're attacking everyone opposed to sharing what your beliefs are.
Mhm.
You're targeting this one, saying, hey, you don't do this, you don't do that, you're not a Christian, and you may have room for that, but I think it's really more so in the Christian community, or when a Christian has kind of superimposed their will upon another person,
Mhm.
like we see so many Christians do. Like we superimpose our will. Like if I don't know God,
Mhm.
if I don't know the Lord, and I'm doing a lot of things crazy, like that may be a little bit outside of what God may feel that I should do according to the Bible,
Mhm.
and I tell someone to stop, it doesn't make them all right with God. It just means that whatever they did, they just stopped doing it.
Mhm.
So the big thing for us to do really is to share Christ, because not until we're converted, that's when things start to either make sense to us, or sometimes the Holy Spirit i- um can really you'll see like the fruit of things. You're not going to see fruit from people who, if we're at opposite ends, you're not going to see any fruit. You're not going to see someone say, oh yeah, well, this person is doing God's will, because basically, if I don't believe what the Bible's saying, I do things contrary to it,
Mhm.
then why would I expect them to do those things? Why would I expect, you get what I'm saying? I'm not
Mhm.
going to expect a KKK member to come and finance my anything for a DEI, well, if we're still in motion, you know what I mean, to do things in my community. So um so my thing is just that when we look at him, um, I think that when, as I said, he's young in Christ, you can say some things that can be kind of harsh,
Mhm.
without thinking, or you can not be led by God, or as I said, sometimes God can lead you to say some things at times. I believe all the above, but I don't. But sometimes when I see people attacking specific people,
Mhm.
opposed to actions of people, that can get that can be sketchy or iffy. So I'm sorry for taking so long, but I just wanted to make sure people understood. But what did Bruce put up here? I'm sorry, Bruce. What did you have to say?
Bruce said he seems like he's trying to mend depression, broken heart with his salvation. In quotes, he has heard that the Pistons traded him. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think he's depressed because the Pistons traded him. I mean, what do I know? I don't know him personally. That is a part of the business. His mom, he's grown up around basketball all his life. His
Mm-hmm.
mom, I believe, is a coach at Notre Dame, I believe, or
Mm-hmm.
she was a coach. So he's not new to this business at all whatsoever. So I mean, we all know that you get traded. This the business that you're in, unfortunately. Um, but I will say, I think I think the trade triggered something, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he's depressed because of being traded, and that's why his broken heart is what's causing this. I don't think that's, I think that's what the trigger was. There's always triggers when people like kind of go through something. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a bad breakup. It could be losing someone close to you.
Yeah.
It could be a variety of different things, that trigger, something, be it good or bad in your life. Something good could happen. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job today because I'm tired of, I realize I'm wasting too much time at this job. I'm getting older. I'm not getting the promotion I wanted. It's time for me to move on and explore different things. So there's always a trigger or a situation that inspires change, be it for the
Hmm.
good or be it for the bad.
Yeah.
In this case, though, I will say, as it pertains to Steph, I think he was trying to use Steph and LeBron as an example because people have them like up on this pedestal, so to speak, of of what greatness is. And we look at them and we say, oh, look at the beautiful family, look at the wife, look at the kids. They do such a wonderful job. You don't hear anything bad about them. We kind of epitomize and immortalize them, in a sense, because we happen to love them so much.
Hmm.
I think that's why he used them specifically as an example to say, look, like y'all idolize Steph, but he's not who you think he is. I think that's what he was trying to say. You know, um, I personally, like I said, for me, whether or not Steph is who we think he is, that's still not your place. The same way, you're talking, about, Jesus Christ and everything. That's for Christ to deal with. If Steph is not who we think he is, he's faking it for the funk. He's, just he sold his soul or whatever have you, if you want to call it that, LeBron included. That's something that they have to answer to, like we all do. You know,
Hmm.
and none of us have that right to judge someone. You can't sit in a glass house and throw stones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that we, kind of address it, because even now it's hard for me to like really come at him because or come at the situations because it's a lot of ramifications that people some may not understand. But one thing that we do understand is that we understand that we're supposed to still love one another. We're still supposed to respect one another. I don't have to like what you do at all because I don't agree with a lot of stuff. I don't, and you know me, I kind of shoot from the hip with it. But on that same note, um, just I just like when I was doing a lot of the administration work for the radio stations. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I I had for years, you know, those communities, they loved me and my wife. They loved our show, and they would said, "Hey, they invited us on. They did a lot of I would see them coming in. I would help them, and they thought that because I was kind to them that I believed the same thing as they did. They thought because I always stopped and helped them, pick up, just whatever they were doing at the station, like having they would have like different events, and I would
Mhm.
help them set up and one day they invited me on their show, and
Mhm.
they found out that I had different beliefs than they did, and I said, "Well, I'm called to love you." You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that I see eye to eye with you on something. So basically, I will always feed you. I'll take care of you, but I don't mean that I agree with how you may do things in your household or how you may
Mhm.
want certain things done in our schools or wherever. I I'm going to treat you like a human being.
Mhm.
I'm going to love you. And these are some great people. They are a married couple. One was one's a lawyer, one's an accountant, and still cool with me to the day. You know what I mean? But some things were found out, that night, and it was so because it was maybe the whole community was in there, and me and my wife was in the station. They
Mhm.
had us surrounded, but nevertheless, it was like but I'm going to flow with you. I said, well, well, I don't mean you no harm. I'm always pray for you, but I'm not going to bash you. I don't. As a Christian, I don't have the right to call you names. I don't have the right to drag you. That's not what God sent us to do. But I will at any time if you ask when the truth comes out. I'm talking about what we both believe. I'm going to tell you what time it is. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And but I'm gonna do it in a way where I'm not going to be mad, pointing your finger at you. No, you wrong. You don't. No, I don't do all that because
Mhm.
the word is going to be the word, no matter how if it goes to you. If it's truth, it's gonna prick you somewhere in your heart, somewhere. So, and that's where I leave it. But anyway, but that's what I want to say, and I want to move on to our next thing. So, 'cause we
Okay.
anyway, I can lighten up a little bit now.
What's up,
Uh,
Bruce? How you doing, my guy?
Everybody loves Bruce. All right, I'm trying to pull up our next. Come on now, image. Yeah. So the next thing we wanted to talk about is basically the fiasco that's been going on for over a week ago, basically with Jason Whitlock, Cam Newton, and Stephen A. Smith. Just wanted to touch on that really quickly. We all know that Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock has a history of animosity going back and forth, and no one really anyone in sports knows that these two guys don't like each other. And anyone in sports know they don't like each other. Cam Newton joins the cast of First Take sometime in 2025. Yeah, he joins the cast, and once he joins the cast, everything is hunky dory. He didn't really take Shannon's spot, but I guess he got some of Shannon's, proverbial shine when Shannon had left the show, but never. But what ended up happening is that he, subsequently then invites Jason Whitlock onto his own platform, and when he's interviewing him, he allows him to bring up Stephen A. Smith. So, Kaja, the first thing I want to ask you about that is that what do you feel about him bringing up Stephen A. Smith? In the light of everything that was going on, talking about them being friends, them being.
I'm actually going to put this back on you because I spoke about this a few times. So I actually want to hear because this is a topic that you wanted to cover. So
okay, you want me to start off? I start. Okay. Well, basically, here goes in a nutshell.
Old dudes acting like kids. What? Really?
Basically, old dudes acting like kids. Hey, sometimes we do. Me and Steve, we're the same age. So this is the thing.
Same age. I'm missing something.
No, he said old dudes acting like kids. I said, yeah. I said sometimes we do because I said Stephen A. Smith and I are the same age.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a comment somebody put in the thing. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no. All right. So basically here we go. Stephen A. Smith and basically is Cam Newton's boss. You know what I mean? He bring Cam Newton in. Cam already have a level of success, and I can live with that. But the problem comes in that is that when I bring you in, even if I don't see eye to eye with you, even if we may have like extreme polar opposite differences, you cannot at any time invite someone on your platform. Now you can invite them and talk about me. That can't happen. That can't happen. You don't give me an alley-oop. You don't give me a heads up. You don't give me a the common courtesy to say, hey, basically,
I don't know. I'm not sure if he didn't give him a heads up. I don't know if he reached out to him and told him that he was coming on his platform. I think I'm not sure. I watched the episode. I can't remember if he said he gave him a heads up or he didn't. So I'm not going to speak too much on that one. He did address it, whether or not he gave him a heads up. I forgot what Cam said on his show, 4th and 1. But continue.
No, yeah, but the whole thing with him by him doing that. I mean, we already know that Jason Whitlock is more. He's just like
he's Jason Whitlock.
Trash. He's trash. But when I see Cam Newton, and we all know that Cam Newton has common sense. We all know that Cam Newton has. In some ways, he has good sense, and I like Cam, but it's like, and I like him better than I like Stephen A. Smith, and I'm saying that to say, I wouldn't usually side with things that can't, one over the other, but for Cam to violate Stephen A. like that, and to say, hey, he invites you into his home, he lets you sit down and eat with him. And then it's like you're going back and you're talking to someone else about him. And see, that's where it gets crazy to me at. And I personally feel that he owes Stephen A. Smith an apology, a public apology. Like he should go on air and say, hey, I shouldn't have done that. Basically, even if it hurts, Kai, if you're my friend, right? Or even my boss, if you're my boss, because it hurt you, offer the strength of who I am to you,
Mm-hmm.
offer the strength of who we may be to each other. I'm gonna apologize off of that,
Mm-hmm.
not just because I have an infinity for you. If I care about you, it doesn't matter whether if I think it's offensive or not. None of that matters. Only.
Well, I mean, we first off, we might be overestimating or
Uh-huh.
um, not overestimating. Should I say what's what I'm looking for? We might be assuming
Uh-huh.
that Cam and Stephen A. Smith are cooler or closer than what they actually are.
Yeah.
They may just be like cool, enough, and just coworkers.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Definitely.
They may not really, talk, that much outside of, first take Monday and Friday. If it's more of just a coworker thing, then that's different than them being like friends, brothers, in the sports world, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how deep that relationship is,
Mm-hmm.
so that could be why, Cam feels the way he does. Because Cam said, on his platform, when Ryan Clark called him out and spoke about loyalty, when he said there is no loyalty, within this content, creation, content creator space, like there's no loyalty here. He's like, when you bring somebody on your platform, you can't tell them, their story. You can't tell them what their truth is.
Mm.
That's what Cam had to say, and I'm paraphrasing y'all. Y'all can always go watch, the full clip if if y'all want to. Can't show it on here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say though, if you do invite somebody on your platform, Cam has a point with that. I can't
Yeah.
invite you on and ask you about something and then tell you, what your experience is with someone, because that is your experience. That's your truth, the way you believe it to be the truth. For me, I hold Cam accountable for not asking any questions. If you're gonna put him on a platform, and you're gonna give him that platform to talk about Stephen A. Smith, you
Mm-hmm.
know, then at the very least, I said this tonight, last night, if y'all wasn't watching, we kind of got a little heated debate. I'm like, at least ask some questions, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you say Stephen A. Smith never got left back in the fourth grade. Okay, well, how do you know that? Where'd you get that information from? Well, he never got a scholarship to Winston-Salem. Okay, cool. If he didn't get a sports scholarship, how do you know that? Like, where did you get this information from? Because
Mm-hmm.
I looked for it online. I
Yeah.
couldn't find it. So did you hire a private investigator? I mean, do you know someone who went there back in the day? Like, I mean, something. He's also said Stephen A. Smith didn't actually write his own book. His New York Times bestseller. I think it's a memoir, First Takes and First Chance, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not sure the title.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, a New York Times bestseller. Stephen A. Smith on his platform when he addressed Jason Whitlock. He said he called out the publishing company. He's like, they know. He called them out by name. He's like, they know I wrote my own book. I wrote my own book. No, I didn't have any ghostwriter. But Jason Whitlock says that that's not what happened. He had a ghostwriter. For me, and Anadi was saying, well, how come Stephen A. Smith, hasn't come out and just shown any proof that Jason Whitlock was lying? And I'm like, why should I have to do that? For me, why do I have to go on my way to prove that you're lying about me? If you're calling me a liar and a fraud, then prove that I'm a liar and a fraud. That's
Yeah.
just how I see it.
Yeah.
As it pertains to Cam, to me, that was the one part that I felt was disappointing. Like, you can bring anybody on your show because Cam and Jason Whitlock have their own issues, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
here two grown men having a conversation and hashing it out like grown men. I'm cool with that. But when you bring other people to the party and you bring me up and I'm not there to discuss and defend myself, I think at
Exactly.
the very least that you're going to ask some questions. If you're going to be in your journalism bag, then be in that bag. Like, then
Yeah.
deep in that bag. And if you're not, then don't bring me up. Don't mention me. I also want to know why Jason Whitlock is so, I don't know, just obsessed with Stephen A. Smith. I mean, a lot of the content is Stephen A. Smith
Yeah.
based, and it's been for years now. And it's like, dude, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on?
Well, with
Oh,
Whitlock, we all know that
one
he's
second, 1 second. Let me get my charger. One second. I'm listening. No, continue.
sure. Um, the thing about Whitlock is this: we all know that Whitlock is he's what I can say to me to me he's a little he hates himself. Let me just speak straight. He wants to be approved by white people so bad, and he feels that in his own community that he has no love. So he feel like the only way he can get boosted back up or put back up into a place of prominence is basically he needs to have approval. This is why we see him. He don't only attack Stephen A. Smith. He attacked our culture. He attacked our people, our way of life. He looks upon Black life or African Americans, how we interact with each other, how we deal with things when it comes to legislation, how we raise our kids, how our schools are. He looks at everything and he downs it. Everything that comes across his desk or across his eyes that has to do with us, if you ever notice, he downplays it. And see, and Stephen A. Smith just so happens to be the proverbial hub that he uses to funnel things through. Why? He's a Black man, he's successful, and now I can channel all things through him because he's popular. Everybody
It
knows
seems
him.
to be very personal, though.
Yeah,
To me, it seems like it goes deeper than just Stephen A. being successful. There
yeah.
seems to be
Well, yeah, no,
like a deep rooted, like a hatred, obsession, or something. Like I don't know what happened in the past with them off
yeah,
camera, or what's going on, but something or some things definitely took place because I don't think any man should be that obsessed with anybody.
yeah,
I just don't. And he's been telling us for years that Stephen A. Smith is a fraud. I'm like, okay, you told us this. You don't have anything else to talk about? Like, tell us something different that we don't already know. We get it. You think he's a fraud. I understand how you feel, Jason. I hear
yeah.
you. But what else? Because the story's getting really old now. Tell me something I don't know. I haven't heard.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, getting his big start. Well, his big start really came here where I'm at in Philadelphia. And as I told you before, I said, I always read his columns when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He's put in the work.
yeah, that's that's what I'm getting to. See how you complete my thoughts? No, I'm playing. But yeah, he uh he did some great things in and while he was in Philadelphia. So much
Hmm.
so that a lot of the pundits in Philly, if you can call them that,
Hmm.
um i.e. WIP, they hate him. They drag him whenever they get a chance, and they do
Hmm.
and foolishly because they do some work for ESPN as well. But my thing is that it's just that Whitlock, we know that to me that it goes beyond just Stephen A. Smith. I think it's everything that he represents as well because the way he talks about look what he does to Joy Teller. He talks about her breasts and look at the melons, she's this, but then he claims righteousness on
Peanut
that
butter
same hand.
cans or something like that. He
Peanut
was
butter,
saying
yeah. He's saying all these things about Joy Taylor and
peanut
dragging
butter
her.
skin. Excuse me, something like that.
Yeah, and then and everybody keeps saying, "Oh, Joy slept her way to the top," and everyone is lining up with this. I never heard Steve line up with that. You know what I mean? Never heard Stephen A. Smith line up with any of that. Um, but the or what's my main man name? Shannon Sharp. But
Cam hasn't either. He spoke. He defended her.
yeah, Cam, yeah, Cam did. Yeah, how about that? He did. He had her on the show as well. But Jason Whitlock just took it to a whole nother level where he wanted to drag her and make her feel like trash. And when you see him not only do it to her, but he does it to the women in the WNBA. It doesn't matter
The black women
if they're
specifically.
yeah, it doesn't matter if they're part of the LGBTQ community. It doesn't matter. He just has something to me when I look at him. He has something against black people. He uses us as a just to wash us up and down. He wants to be accepted so bad because remember this. I will say this. Remember when Chris Broussard was on his show years ago while he was on ESPN, and he said to Chris Broussard, "You can't disagree with me. This is my show."
Mhm.
Chris Broussard said, "Man, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. You can't tell me what to do." And they said this right on air, ESPN, when they were on air,
Mhm.
and even from that take that time, this was maybe like 10, 12 years ago. We seen him on a whole new tirade after that. To me, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying that that Chris Broussard lit the fuse, but I know it was in that season that a lot of that started to happen, and you didn't see Chris Broussard back on that show again. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting how people try to paint him as some humanitarian. He's talking about he's doing the work of the Lord. He's not doing the work of the Lord. What
I
he's
think
doing is
he hides behind that to me,
yeah,
because for somebody who's supposed to be a Christian, if you truly are a Christian and you you try your best. No one's gonna be perfect, but if you're trying your best to follow the Christ-like way,
yeah,
there's a lot of judgment that comes through that channel, and when
yeah.
he's speaking about people, he talks down about people. I've never heard him say anything kind really about anybody black. And maybe I missed it. I have not been watching him for the past, 20 years, how long he's been on the air. You
Hmm.
know, and I watched some things that he says on his show, because I like to hear different perspectives, whether I agree with them or not. But a lot of times I'm just like, where did you get that information from? Like using Joy Taylor as an example, we don't know exactly who she slept with. We know she was accused of sleeping with,
Exactly.
the creator of the show, the EP, but there were no messages that were shown. We didn't see any
Hmm.
messages that were released between her and the guy. We didn't see any videos of them kissing, holding hands, touching inappropriately. So for him to use his platform, and he has a big platform, to then spread, that kind of information to me, I would have called a lawyer, and Stephen A. Smith, I would have called lawyer a long time ago. Find somebody
Hmm.
else to talk about, dude. Unless you
Yeah.
got some facts about who I slept with, you got some messages, you got some video footage, then keep me out your conversation, or I'm gonna have your platform off the air.
Point blank, point blank, and that should be the point. And this is why I don't get why Cam. I understand what Cam said. I'm kind of open. I want to talk to him, but
Yeah, I mean,
we can
about you, that's great.
yeah, but it's yeah exactly. But see, I just don't get. It's like you see that this guy is disturbed. You see that this guy doesn't like his own people. You see that this guy
I
drags.
don't
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry to cut you off. I
No,
don't
no, go
think
ahead.
it's so much of him not liking his own people. I don't think that he likes himself. I don't think that when he looks in the mirror, he likes what he sees, from the color of his skin to the way he looks. Like, I just think there's some deep rooted issues within himself.
Yeah,
And kind of manifests itself, in attacking, his own kind, so to speak. I think it's bigger than just him having an issue with Stephen A. Smith, him having an issue with LeBron, or the black lesbian crew, is he'll refer to them in the WNBA. To me, I don't know what happened to him in the past, but it seems like somebody or some people really hurt him, when he has not healed from it.
yeah. Well, I know this. He loved the fact that the things. And I'm not speaking badly about him, but he loved the fact that the things that Charlie Kirk said about the black community that was derogatory, and about some of our leaders. He loved the fact that DEI was stopped. He loved the fact that affirmative action was stopped.
Mhm.
He loves these things, these components that are needed um in America due to disparity, due to the power dynamic that's in the country. He loved that. I mean, the reason why people gravitate to that, a lot of people gravitate to that because they feel a sense of self-preservation, of security. If I disagree with this over here, people will accept me. Will accept me. It's like the bully syndrome. So if there's a bully in your class, you either try to remain real quiet out of his way, or you're going to laugh at all his jokes so he won't come at you when he's making his rounds.
Mhm.
So whatever or how or whyever you're doing it, it's still done for self-preservation. But eventually, one thing we all know about a bully will always turn on you. A bully will redirect their energy when there's no one else left. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, yeah, but that's what I feel about Whitlock. I think that he's just a disgusting guy, and without me, either cursing or saying anything, that's
I
kind
mean,
of
he's definitely tapped into who his followers are. Him, Marcellus Wiley,
oh god,
Cam. Everybody's tapped in. To who their fan base is, so to speak. They know what to say. To trigger responses and things of that nature. Get the clicks and the views going.
oh yeah, definitely. So tell me this, Kai. We heard what Joe Mazzulla had to say about the Coach of the Year award for the for the
Mhm.
NBA. He said
Mhm.
that was a stupid award
I think
and
it's
that
stupid.
yeah, yeah, and that he doesn't think that it, you know, it has any merit, and basically he personally don't want anyone to ever like put his name and associate with it or bring it up to him personally again, even though he works in the NBA for the NBA, you know what I mean, as well as, you know, the directly for the owner. So what do you think about him making that statement?
That's how he feels. I'm fine with it. Not everybody does everything for awards. Some people are just fine with doing their job and not necessarily getting the praise that might come with. And he seems to be one of those people. He's somebody else who's very outspoken.
Mhm.
um you know uh he doesn't too much mince words. You're gonna know how he feels. And I respect him for that. I think he's done a great job. It was kind of hard on him at first, because I like Ime. I'm an Ime Udoka, girly.
Amen.
And I'm like, you took over what Ime did. But honestly speaking, he's proven himself to be a good coach.
He
So
did.
I gotta give respect and credit where respect and credit is due. Respectfully. And like I said, if he's okay with, he let me know. I think it's stupid. So don't give him an award. Like, I think it's stupid. That's how I feel about it. I don't want it, and that's what he said. So take him off the list. Okay. Scratch Joe Mazzulla out and move somebody else up.
Yeah,
And that's that. I'm
that
here for the
was
honesty.
yeah. Would you say you're there for the honor?
I'm
Listen,
here for the honesty.
it's you know what, when he did that, I understood him being I understood what he was saying. I understood where he was coming from. But this is the problem I have with it, is the fact that um don't use the word stupid. You know what I mean? Don't use the word stupid. You
What
can
word should you have used?
huh? Well, if you apparently he's found flaws in the overall system of it. Why not address the flaws that make you come to that conclusion, then go from there? But for
Well, that
you,
wasn't a platform to do a deep dive, I don't think, into, everything else surrounding it. They asked him about that award specifically,
mhm,
and he thinks like I said, he thinks it's stupid. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. We'll say he's thinking he's fooling himself. No one cares if he gets it or not.
and he doesn't care. So it's
Yeah,
like I said, if he don't care, then we shouldn't care and move on.
yeah.
Like, give to somebody else who wants it. I respect somebody who does their job, without looking, to get awards, and accolades and things. Like,
Hmm.
focus on your team, being the best coach that you can be, and move on from there. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you know what I think sometimes though. I think that when we look at these coaches, and it's sort of like where anybody, I would tell people, if you ever worked in the office, you know what I'm talking about. You ever work in the office space? It's a real they it's the reason why they made like 3 to 4 or 5 different TV shows all about offices.
Mhm.
Because offices have this, I mean, this whole thing with hierarchy, and
Mhm.
it's like a game of chess. You have, your pawns, your bishops. You have all these little different little henchmen and everything out here that play into whatever you're doing. And the ultimate goal is to be have a pat on your head from the overall you know, from the overall hierarchy. But I'll say this. Um I worked in one of the best, one of the more uh I would say prestigious, or not prestigious, I'll just say better offices in my company. I was working in there. I didn't get paid like everybody else, don't get me wrong, but I
Mhm.
just worked in there with them. And I was and they were all the vice presidents and everything. And we basically, you know um we were having a meeting one day,
Mhm.
and which was around Halloween. And the one of the top boss that was one of the top bosses came in with a Trump mask on,
Mhm.
and the rest of the vice presidents, they played as if that they were they played like they were the Secret Service men. And they came in, and everybody just found, got a laugh. I didn't, of course, I didn't laugh. Um, if anyone know me, I'm just like, like, what's this about? What you trying to, what you're really trying to say? And then when we went back to the to our desks or our areas
Hmm.
in his office, he had a bookshelf, and on top of the bookshelf it was a vase. He took the mask off and put the mask on the vase so the mask can stay in place. You know what I mean? And if so everyone can look up at it. And that's what I mean. So when I saw him and he did that, when they came in, there was a Secret Service. Everybody thought it was funny, and oh my God, he's Trump. Ah. I was like, he was saying more than that, and I knew he was. And when he put that up there and did that, that's what see a lot of this is what these things do. This is what they lead to. So sometimes when I said all that to say, Joe Mazzulla has been burned or scorched somewhere in this whole thing about these coaches. He had to be just like Mark Jackson was
I don't
burned and
get that.
scorched. You get what I'm saying?
No.
When you're burned and scorched, you will oppose to
And
the
Mark
hierarchy.
Jackson's a whole different conversation from Joe Mazzulla.
I know, but I'm saying the things you see, Kai. I'm talking about the things you
Hmm.
see happening in the system of things. Because
Hmm.
because Missoula is really addressing system. That's what he's addressing.
Hmm.
He's not just addressing um the fact that he think is something wrong with that he don't like it. He's addressing that it's something in this whole dynamic that I don't like. I think it's
Hmm.
stupid. I
Hmm.
think it's I don't don't mention my name in it no more. That's somebody who's hurt. That's not somebody who's just saying I just you know
I don't think he. What reason does he have to be hurt? I mean, out of all people that they could have named to be the head coach for the Boston Celtics, people who have more experience, you know, they chose him. They gave him, the keys, to the team, and he's been there ever since. So um, he gets paid very well. His team
yeah
won a championship with him. They've superseded expectations this season, even without having, Jason Tatum there, and Drew Holiday and Al Horford and so on and so forth. So for me, he doesn't have any reason that I can see for him to be hurt. I don't get someone who's hurt. I just give someone who really does not care about all the politics behind things. He's like, this is my job. I'm just here doing my job and that's that. But I don't get hurt. I just get that that's just not he's not that guy. Some people care about, what people think about them. They
yeah
care about having the MVPs and, all those different things, like I don't think he cares about, what others think about him. I think he cares about what his team thinks about him, the coaching staff, obviously
hmm
his bosses, because he has to do a good job if he wants to remain the head coach,
yeah
what his wife thinks, and his family. But I don't, and also he's very outspoken about his faith as well, I don't think he cares about all the nonsense and the BS that goes um into sports. But I don't get hurt.
wow well see let me read Bruce's comment.
Hmm.
um if there are flaws with the system, quit being a coach. Why is he trying? Why is he trying for Jaden? What he said? Why
Jalen
is he?
Brown to be the MVP if the system is flawed. He's an idiot, and I mean that with all the disrespect.
Well, he said why is he trying for get Jaden Jalen Brown for MVP? Well, this is the thing, Bruce. When you say that, you're saying, well, why would he do these things? Why not just quit? Well, if he quits, then who is Martin Luther King? Then who is
I think he
who?
loves his job. I mean, if he loves coaching, like
Yeah,
why would he
you
quit?
yeah. I mean, who's the common the common mom and dad that fights for your neighborhood and to stand there so we can have a better harmonious place to live. You don't quit because you don't like something. You can you can you can address things that come up, and you can actually be a better representation um by standing and actually fending for the things that you believe in. It's no difference than I mean even the thing that happened with Jade with with what's his name, Jaden Ivory. You know what I mean? He, they feel like this is what we believe, and so they had the power in this case. He didn't have the power, so he stood for what he believed, and it got him out. But he still stood. They
He's
stood.
also not a star, in the league.
Yeah, yeah,
I
of
think if
course.
he was, if Steph Curry had made those kinds of comments, Steph Curry is still going to have a job today. So would LeBron, so would Jason Tatum, like Acho always says, and I do believe it's to be true, like your talent will always make room for you. When you are super talented, people, you people know that they can make money off of you. They might not
Uh-huh.
like you, but they know you're gonna make them some money. They'll put up with your foolishness. Um, they will not, if you are someone that's replaceable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jalen Brown to me deserves to be in MVP. To me, he's top two. I'm gonna go him. Him and Wimby, either one of them are fine for me in terms of MVP, and then Cade Cunningham as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm for me, Jalen and Wimby for me MVP. They play both sides of the floor. They give 120% every single night. They lead their teams, and they're always going to pick up the best player on the, especially Jalen Brown. He's going to give you 29 points, between 25 and 29, about 6, 7 rebounds, maybe 4 assists, and he's going to do that while guarding the best player on the opposing team. That to me, I have nothing but respect for.
Okay. Yeah. I still go with SGA.
But he's too outspoken, so he's not going to get it. I don't think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I still go SGA because basically he's the best, and he has to
I don't
raise his
think he's the
game.
best.
Well, I'm talking about he's okay. He's the best to me when it comes to being under pressure and having to do it. See, I think people don't respect him because he has a lot of finesse in his game. There's not a lot of
Not for
power
me. Nothing to
in,
do with finesse.
in his game. He's like George Gervin was, or if I can pull on another name. So when I look at SGA, I'm definitely looking at a person who or a player who leans towards as you
The
said,
free
as
throw
I said,
line.
yeah, not the free throw line, Kai.
It is the free throw line.
Yeah,
It is the free throw line.
he get
Half of his
he
points
get a lot of
every
he
single
gets
night
a lot of
come from the
trash.
free throw line.
Yeah, but he gets a lot of trash calls, Kai. But at the end of the day, he still is resilient. He still is out there hustling. He's still doing the things that he has to do in order to
Let me
get.
see you do it without baiting fouls.
Well, let's
Bruce,
see.
me and you
Well,
were here. As always,
let's see who else bait fouls. You know what I mean? So
Jalen Brunson is another one, and it irritates me as well with him.
yeah, he does.
So does Luca. But Luca, let's be very, very clear.
Yeah,
Luca is one hell of a scorer. Okay, Luca can shoot that thing from anywhere in front of anyone at any point in time.
yeah,
So I'm going to give him his credit with that. He's not going to really play too much defense now, but on the offensive side of the ball, I'm not mad at it. I'm going to give him his credit as far as that is concerned. Um, but for me, I don't want to see anybody foul baiting. If you are who you say you are and you are like that, you don't need to bait fouls. Just do what you do. Just pull up, hit that jumper. Pull up,
yeah,
hit that three. Pull up, hit your floater. Get your layup. Whatever it is, go ahead and do it. Be the superstar that you are. SGA, I think, is too good to foul bait. I don't think he needs to do that. I'm like, SGA, you're too talented for that, dude. Just play your game. Just do your thing, man. He's smooth with it. You know what I mean? He's consistent. So go ahead and do what you're gonna do. What you do. I don't think he needs to do that. No, needs to do the foul baiting. And personally, I'm tired of seeing it.
yeah,
I'm tired of hearing, he's averaged 20 points, for the longest, and I think next to Michael Jordan or something. It's always a stat for everything. I'm like, yes, but if half of your points 99 out coming from the free throw line, to me that kind of cancels it out a little bit. Let me see you do it without getting to the free throw line.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get you. I wouldn't have a problem if Brown was the MVP. I wouldn't have a problem with it because to me he improved his game. To me, he
And
improved
does it
his
with
handle.
less. And did it with
Huh?
less.
but he improved his handle.
He did
But
it with less this season. I mean, this is a team sport. Like who the Celtics had on that roster this season. Like let's be honest now. Like it compared to how it's been in the past. The past few seasons, we didn't expect them to be, second in the East.
yeah.
With everything, we didn't.
Oh yeah. I mean, but my thing is just that I think that he talking about SGA. I think the SGA is it's
Hold on, think it's coming off for a second.
huh.
Think it's coming off for a second while you talking about
Hmm.
SGA.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll answer your question in a second, bro.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my thing is that with SGA, even though people saying, well, basically he has a full team around him. Remember when the season first started off, his team wasn't all the way around him. And I told you in the beginning, I said I don't think they were playing up to their potential because a lot of them they were playing like they didn't want to rebound. They was playing like they didn't want to run
I
the
don't know
floor.
how you got that because they went undefeated,
But
so they definitely were limited to their
no,
potential.
but they was still playing soft. They still was playing.
They were undefeated. That
It doesn't.
no one's gonna agree with that sentiment. They weren't struggling at all.
It
They
does.
were
It
not.
doesn't. It doesn't matter because you know when it showed up. You know when it really showed when they played San Antonio, it started to
Because San
show up.
Antonio's gonna give a run for their money every
E-
single time. They have the
Exactly.
athleticism, they have the players. That's why when they have that matchup, that one specifically, not all, that one specifically, and the Pistons as well. They went to overtime last time with the Pistons without Kate Cunningham. Those teams, because of the youth, because of the speed, athleticism, they give them a run for their money. But most teams are not built the same way those teams are. That's why
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah. They stack with a lot of talent that can beat you inside and out. That's great. But
And that's why it's a problem. Most teams just play out. Everybody shoots from the 3-point line.
Even though SGA was hurt a little bit, he still came back in and he was on point, doing what he always do. And we know that everybody plays
Into
some
the 3
tough
point line.
because he was a current MVP. So you cannot deny him from that fact, from that motion, from what he was doing.
I did deny him because the team is still stacked around him. Even when he wasn't playing,
Yeah,
he was hurt for a little bit. The team was still winning. To me, that shows the strength of your team. They didn't go on this losing streak. When he wasn't there. As long as they have SGA, they have J Dub, and they have Chet, I think they'll be okay. Now, if it's just SGA or it's just Chet or it's just J Dub, then it's a little bit different to me. To win a championship, you got to have all three because those are the biggest pieces, of that starting core. But I'm not gonna underappreciate, undervalue what Alex Caruso brought to the team, what
that's
Isaiah
one. If you go,
Hartenstein brings to the team,
yeah,
Kason Wallace, Wiggs,
yeah,
AJ Mitchell has had an incredible season this year. He's been the backup, when SGA's been out. My guy Jared McCain, Corona Centennial's finest. He came there from the Sixers. He also can shoot his behind off. I think
hmm
he was a great addition to the team. There's another guy I can't think of. He's a white guy. He's tall. I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. So all around, they have, they're stacked. Their starting core. Their secondary. Off the bench, their second unit. And then
hmm
even their rotation players that come in and sub are also good. And they're coached well. So, um, yeah, but like I said, for me, and this is it's just for me, I don't want to see anybody at the free throw line. Honestly speaking, I don't really watch their game. I stopped watching a lot of the games. I'm like, okay, 'cause I'm tired of the free throw line. I know, it's a foul. We get it.
yeah. Oh yeah, but I can't disagree with that. I can't say that what you're saying is not overall is not true. But what I can say is this: is that no matter who SGA goes up against, he always gets the better of them. He always gets the better of them. And so
No,
when
he
I look,
doesn't. Not all the
uh,
time.
listen,
That
when I
whistle helps him out a lot. That's the first thing.
the whistle helps, God,
It
but
helps a lot. Without the whistle, it would be
God,
very different. It would. That whistle helps him out a lot. Yes, it
listen,
does.
I didn't even like SGA games too much at one point.
I call it
But
like I see it. I
but
happen to like SGA a lot. I love his fashion. I think he can dress his ass off. I absolutely
yeah,
love to
but we
see him.
talking
Yeah,
basketball though,
but
right?
I'm saying as a whole. I'm saying I like him as a whole. On the
Okay.
court and off. I love him as a family man.
Mhm.
I love that he's very consistent. He's always been consistent, even before they were winning. He's been consistent. But for me, like I said, I want to see you be who you are without the help from the refs.
Yeah.
That's me. Let's see how that looks without the help from the refs, without that whistle being called every 2 seconds. Let's see how it looks.
Yeah. No, no, and I get it, but at the end of the day,
And
I
until I
still have
see it, I'm like, okay.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I still have to look at the fact that he's on the floor, he's showing up, and these people are playing him like dog hard. Now, that foul the other night when he with the Pistons, yes, that was an offensive foul, and a lot of times he is pushing off. I hate that arm rack that they use. I hate that.
I mean,
Um,
we can go back to the finals last year before Tyrese Halliburton got hurt when was Scott Foster called that when he pushed off and he decided to pretend that he didn't see it, standing right there looking at him. There's no way that should have been that three should have counted, but it did nonetheless. And they ended up tying the series as opposed to being up 3-1 like the Pacers should have been.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that, but at the end of the day, Kyle, I cannot, for by no means, I cannot dismiss this guy from what he has brought to the team, but what and
He
what
is
how
talented. No one said he wasn't. I want to
yeah,
see what your talent looks like without the help from the refs. That's what I want to see. I
yeah,
think he's talented enough to not need help from the refs. I want to see what it looks like without it.
yeah, yeah. But give me 1 second, Kyle.
Bruce, to answer your question, I'm gonna get ready
Yeah,
to go a little bit, you guys. But to Bruce,
okay,
to answer your question, in terms of who should be, you said unprotected, I believe, right, Bruce? Unprotected. Um, Very quickly, I don't even know everybody's contract situation. The list is, it seems like everybody's unprotected or up for some sort of different contract in terms of WNBA. As it pertains, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Who should be unprotected? Honestly, but I gotta think about that, man. Um, yeah, I don't want to make up nothing. I don't want to lie to you, Bruce. Let me think about that, and I'll answer your question on the next live. Because I don't want to just say something just to say it.
yeah, yeah. I would just say this, like, yeah, um, I can truly believe that Brown can be the MVP. I truly believe that Wimby, ugh, only because they win. Sometimes they win without Wimby, and that's why I have
The one without SGA too. The one without the Joker as well.
but the difference is one has a chip and one doesn't. So if I was setting like a barometer, I would have to use that. That's why
Then
I
we,
would.
then we can't say well they know they win without Wemby. If that's the argument, they won without SGA quite a few times this season as well. They've done it also in Denver when the
But
Joker was out.
my whole point is just that it took. I'm talking about what it took. When I'm measuring you as a player, I'm looking at Brown, I'm looking at Wimby, and I'm looking at SGA, and I say, well, these two guys has chips, so people are going to play them harder. It's going to be a little bit different from them. Everybody can't play Wimby the same way that they play these guys. You can throw anything at these guys because of their stature and their size. Wimby, he's on a completely different like he only going to face maybe like what four good centers, and that's in the NBA, right? Outside of that, who is he really facing?
His height is his height, so it is what it is.
No, no.
I'm not going to take away him having 26 points, 16 rebounds, averaging 5 blocks a game, and I'm not going to take away from him because there's not too many people who are the same height as him. He can't control that. Draft some taller players.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, and I hear you with that, but I still think that Wemby is just you know, he's great. I think, I do think that, I believe in what he's doing. I believe that he's great for the NBA, but I don't think that by no means do I think that he is that he can be the MVP over these two gentlemen, not considering the things that they have done and how and where their teams currently are. Even though they prove that they can beat SGA in them, and I do think that it'll be tough for them for SGA and them to beat San Antonio. But at the end of the day, um, I still think that he is more valuable to his team and, to the overall production of his team, and his team is in first place. So
We're
that's
not
why.
talking about most valuable to your team, it's most valuable to the league. This is
Well,
not a
but I
specific to
know,
your
but
team thing.
but
It's the
his
most
team,
valuable
his
player
team
for
is,
the entire league.
but his team is ahead of San Antonio. So what you gonna do with that?
We're talking about individual players, right?
Yeah, but I'm
Right?
just saying.
We're assessing them. I don't. For me, like I said, the foul baiting for me, it takes me out of it. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Bruce. Without the only person, honestly speaking, and Cade as well, because the Pistons a little bit different without Cade. A lot of the offense runs through him. You get to really find out now with him not being there with the collapsed lung, who else they have on that roster. But a lot of it runs through Jaylen Brown. Without Jaylen Brown, they definitely would not be where they are. So for him, for me, in terms of MVP, I said Jaylen Brown a while ago. I stand 10 toes on it. It's Jaylen Brown for me. If not Jaylen Brown, I'm going Wemby or I'm going Cade Cunningham because of the load that they carried. There's no, they've been consistent, and they do it without help from the refs.
Wow.
And Jaylen Brown, especially because he's going to do what he does while guarding Luca at the same time. He's going to do what he does while also guarding Wemby, who's a hell of a lot taller than him. He's going to do it while also guarding K. He's going to do what he does while also guarding SGA. And to me, I'm looking at all of it. Do you play
Hmm.
both sides of the ball? And a lot of people don't. Luca is very good offensively, but he don't necessarily play defense. I don't think SGA plays much defense. He'll give you effort on it now. Don't get me wrong. But his thing obviously is the offense. For me, I've always preferred a two-way player.
Okay.
I've been like that forever, you guys. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, and I hear you, and I respect it. I just think that no, that
I'm with you, Bruce. For me, yep. Without Jaylen Brown, the Celtics wouldn't be anywhere at all. Um, the Spurs, the Spurs specifically, and the Thunder, because they have so much talent on that roster, these teams will still very much be in the position to be in the playoffs without SGA and without Wemby. The
wow.
Celtics, to me, I don't. They only had Jaylen Brown this year and a whole bunch. Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard. That's pretty much who they had, and then they had bench players. Respectfully to those guys.
Wow. Yeah. Listen. Um, yeah, but it's only but so many people to me. I look at it as MVP. So, um, you know, I just really believe that
You got to play both sides of the ball for me to be MVP.
yeah, you do. I mean, you do, and that is, I think that SGA do play collective defense. I when I look at him, that's what I see him playing. I see that how they play defense. The only one who like Caruso, and he plays real tight defense. I just think that SGA, he doesn't get burned like that though, Kai. He doesn't get burned. Let me see, bro. What do you say? SGA. To me. He's a so he leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I got you. I got you. He leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But yeah, but that's what I believe. I'm so sorry, y'all. It's 30 things are going on in this small studio of mine. But yeah, but that's what I feel. That's but I know that Kai, you gotta do what you gotta do tonight. So um I'm gonna let you
Got you guys.
get to it. Thank
It's
you,
been a
Kai.
real one.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. And so you guys, for my attention being divided, as you can tell, I apologize so much. There's just so much going on. Much love to you guys. Thanks, Kai. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. You're the
Bye,
best.
Bruce. I'll answer your question on the next live. I got you.
Amen. I'm so sorry. God bless, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, y'all.